Hello students, I am Parneet Jaggi, and in the previous videos we've been talking about in detail what the essay on national prejudices talks about. In this essay, Oliver Goldsmith has actually defined national prejudices in a new light. He says that it is not necessary to hate the people of other lands and other countries and other races if we want to love our own country. So, loving our own country is not actually dependent on prejudices or prepossessions or false opinions. So, when we talk about the themes of this essay, we see that Oliver Goldsmith lashes out at national prejudices. He renounces, he actually criticizes national prejudices, and he looks at all those, he addresses all those who infect their minds with these kind of false prejudices which lead to narrow mindedness. He even says that man can love his nation without loathing or despising another nation. For example, in the lines he says, "Is it not very possible that I may love my own country without hating the natives of other countries, that I may exert the most heroic bravery, the most undaunted resolution in defending its laws and liberty without despising all the rest of the world as cowards and poltroons? Most certainly it is." So, this is a kind of a true nationalism that he portrays in this essay, saying that love for your country is nationalism and it does not include hating or despising the people of other lands. Nextly, we see that his concern is more with humanity for humanity rather than with identities and boundaries. He does not respect the narrow minded identities that we give to ourselves and the boundaries which we take too seriously. For example, he does not agree with the gentleman of this company who says Frenchmen are these kinds, Spaniards are these kinds. He says, no, these boundaries are very petty, they are very small, they are very unimportant, and our concern should be with the whole humankind, the human race. Now, the lines which explain his assertion are, "Among all the famous sayings of antiquity, there is none that does greater honor to the author, or affords greater pleasure to the reader, at least if he be a person of a generous or benevolent heart, than that of the philosopher, who, being asked what countryman he was, replied that he was a citizen of the world." So he is for the humanistic temperament and not for a core, prepossessed, and prejudiced nationalist temperament. Next, he takes up the issue of religion and superstition. Now, religion and superstition in this essay do not form the core theme, but they are talked about as supporting example to elaborate on the theme of nationalism. He says religion stands for the necessary growth and has been compared to love for one's own country. And he says religion is a hardy, grounded tree which gives birth to these extra branches like superstition and enthusiasm. Superstition and enthusiasm are like the extra bastard sprouts growing out of religion and can be compared to the prejudices attached to the nationalism spirit. So, just like superstitions are not natural growths or necessary growths of religion, similarly, he says that prejudices are not the natural or necessary growth of nationalism. In the essay, he writes, "Superstition and enthusiasm too are the growth of religion, but whoever took it in his head to affirm that they are the necessary growth of this noble principle? They are, if you will, the bastard sprouts of this heavenly plant, but not its natural and genuine branches, and may safely enough be lopped off without doing any harm to the parent stock." And then finally, we have the core theme of prejudice. What is prejudice? When we prejudge something without looking at the reality, without going into the depth of the reality, we preform our judgments against somebody or for somebody. So he says in the case of national prejudices, prejudices are not required. They are unrequired and they are harmful. They distort our thoughts. For example, he says in the essay, let a man's birth be ever so high, his station ever so exalted, or his fortune ever so large. Yet, if he is not free from national and other prejudices, I should make bold to tell him that he had a low and vulgar mind and had no just claim to the character of a gentleman. He says, I do not even call him a gentleman. Who? A person who is entangled with prejudices, who is not free from the national and other prejudices. He says, I am bold enough to say that he is not a gentleman, but he has a low and a vulgar mind. Last but not the least, his slogan, a citizen of the world, says it all. It elaborates the themes, it illustrates the theme of the essay. His book, The Citizen of the World, signifies his intention of unifying the world into one whole unit of humanity. He says, I should prefer the title of the ancient philosopher, namely a citizen of the world, to that of an Englishman, a Frenchman, a European, or to any other appellation whatever. This concluding line of the essay says it all. He says, I do not believe in these narrow, petty, and unsolicited boundaries of people. He says, rather than being called an Englishman or a Frenchman or any particular man, I want to be called a citizen of the world. So this is how Goldsmith's essay on national prejudices carries a universal value in terms of its themes even now. Thank you for now.